Hello there, and welcome to this video about The Legend of Zelda. I'm currently doing a project where I go over the lore of the classic 3D Zelda games, from Ocarina of Time to Skyward Sword in chronological order. This will not follow the official timeline as detailed in the Zelda Encyclopedia and the official Zelda website, but this timeline instead, the extended child timeline. If you want to know more about why I do this, I made a video on this and the wider history of the Zelda timeline that I will link in the description. In this fourth video, I will go over the events of the adult era of Ocarina of Time. After an era mostly defined by internal strife for the Kingdom of Hyrule, Link opened the way to the Sacred Realm and was still inside because he was too young to become the hero of time. This allowed Ganondorf to claim the Triumphs of Power and become the new Demon King, after which he ruled Hyrule for 7 years. This video will cover the events from Link's awakening until the end of Ocarina of Time, when one of the most defining events in Zelda lore takes place. The timeline split as a result of the closing of the road between times. Unlike the various official timelines, the extended child timeline only features 2 timeline branches going off from Ocarina of Time, instead of 3. More detailed explanation on the nature of the timeline split will be given at the end of this video. This video will also contain spoilers for Ocarina of Time. After 7 years of being sealed in the Sacred Realm, Link woke up from his slumber in the Chamber of Sages and was greeted by Roru. He explained the situation about the Demon King Ganondorf to Link, and that there still remained hope in the power of the Sages. If Link would be able to awaken 6 new Sages, they would be able to seal Ganondorf in the Sacred Realm. After this, Link returned to the Temple of Time and met Sheik, a young Sheikah man who was actually Zelda in disguise. He explained about the legend of the Hero of Time, in which an awakening voice from the Sacred Realm would call those destined to be sages to the temples of the sages across the land. By the time Link had woken up, those destined to become the sages had already all moved into their respective temples for various reasons. Sheik told Link to head to the Forest Temple, which he had visited once as a child, and Kakariko Village to be able to enter it. This marked the beginning of Link's journey as the Hero of Time. After 7 years of rule by Ganondorf, Hyrule had become a land inhabited by more demons than before. Link's first stop after the decimated Hyrule Castle town was London Ranch, which had been taken over by Ingo, follower of Ganondorf. Link paid for an opportunity to ride horses and used Epona's song to be allowed to ride the horse. Ingo was intrigued by Link's horse riding skills and so challenged him to a race. Link won the race and Ingo challenged him to another one afterwards, scared that he would be humiliated before Ganondorf, offering Epona in the process. Link won once more, much to Ingo's dismay, as he had promised Epona to Ganondorf. He thus locked both Link and Epona in the ranch, but they managed to escape. After this, Ingo gave up his control over the ranch to Malon, became a farmhand once more, out of fear for Ganondorf's wrath. Link then headed to Kakariko Village, which had become a Hylian town. In the graveyard he found out that Dampé had passed on, and read in his diary that he had found a hookshot buried in the graveyard. That was an expandable chain that could grab onto certain objects, likely descended from the claw shot technology of earlier eras. Dampé invited those reading his diary to enter his grave so they could receive the hookshot. Link did this and found Dampé's spirit, which he raced against through the underground catacombs. This granted him the hookshot and he ended up in the windmill of Kakariko Village. It was operated by a man with a phonograph who complained to Link about a child who had ruined the windmill 7 years ago by learning the Song of Storms. This way, Link learned the magical song, which would cause storms to appear when played. Following this, Link returned to Kokiri Forest, which was crawling with monsters, and headed into the Lost Woods. Along the way, he found Mido, blocking the path to the Forest Temple for Saria's sake. Link played Saria's song to prove his connection to Saria and was allowed to pass through. In front of the Forest Temple, Sheik taught him the Minuet of Forest, which allowed him to warp to the Forest Temple, using the Goddess Harp passed down from ancient times. With the hookshot, he managed to shoot up to a tree and enter the temple. Inside, he put the spirits of the temple's priestesses to rest and defeated Phantom Ganon. This allowed Saria to awake as the Sage of Forest and the Deku Sprout to emerge from the ground, his influence driving away the monsters from Kokiri Forest. Link then headed up Death Mountain, the clouds of which had grown orange to reflect the dire state of the mountain. He found Goron City empty aside from Darunia's son Link, named as such because of Link saving the Gorons from starvation as a child. Link the Goron explained the situation about the Gorons being taken to the Fire Temple to be fed to Volvagia and gave Link a Goron tunic, allowing him to withstand the heat of Death Mountain crater. In that crater, Sheik taught him the Bolero of Fire, and in the temple, Dahunia was about to go confront Volvagia. He asked Link to free his people, which he did, after which he came back to kill the dragon. This allowed Dahunia to awaken as the Sage of Fire, and the Gorons to return to their city. Link then headed to Zora's domain, which he found frozen, with some of its people being trapped in hot red ice. Investigating the area, he found his way into the ice cavern, where he found Blue Fire and the Iron Boots after defeating a white Wolfos. Sheik also taught him the Serenade of Water, allowing him to warp to the Water Temple in Lake Hylia. But before doing that, Link used the Blue Fire to free King Zora from being frozen in red ice, earning him a Zora tunic that allowed him to breathe underwater. Link used it and his hookshot to enter and traverse the Water Temple, where he came face to face with Ruto. She wanted to save her people and asked Link to defeat the monster lurking in the temple. She led Link to a place where he could change the water levels of the temple, allowing him to traverse it further. In a particular room in the temple, he also had to defeat a shadowy version of himself called Darkling. At the end of the temple lurked Morpha, a large demonic amoeba controlled by a central core. Link defeated this creature, allowing Ruto to awaken as the Sage of Water, and restoring the waters of Lake Hylia, which had been drained. Zora's domain remained frozen for the time, however. Link and Sheik also shared a moment at Lake Hylia, but Sheik quickly left by jumping up a nearby tree. He had the tendency to create a flash and then disappear, like in using Deku Nuts to stun Link temporarily to get away. It also seems likely that he used Gepora Gebora to fly around Hyrule, given the presence of the owl during a particular encounter between Link and Sheik. After saving Lake Hylia, Link returned to Kakariko village, which was facing a crisis. Bongo Bongo, the demon sealed by Impa under the well of the village, broke free and attacked Sheik and Link, then headed to the Shadow Temple, where Impa had gone to seal monsters. When Link came to, Sheik taught him the Nocturne of Shadow. He did not immediately go to the Shadow Temple, however. The Lens of Truth was needed to navigate it. Link thus returned to the Temple of Time, where Sheik taught him the Prelude of Light and explained that he could return to 7 years past by putting the Master Sword back in its pedestal. The Master Sword was a ship that allowed one to travel back and forth in time, with the Temple of Time acting as a sort of port between the two time periods, often called the Child and Adult eras respectively. Actions taken in the past would retroactively influence and change the future as well, but with everything remaining one timeline. Link thus traveled back in time and played the Song of Storms in the windmill, causing it to go haywire and drain the well. It seems to contradict how the mechanics of time travel are depicted and explained to work in Ocarina of Time, given Link did not learn the Song of Storms until travel to the adult era for the first time. It is not entirely clear how this occurrence interfaces with the rest of the game. The simplest explanation seems to be that the original child messing with the windmill in the child era was not Link, but someone else. Nonetheless, Link braved the catacombs under the well and obtained the Lens of Truth after defeating Dead Hand. He also bought magic beans from the salesman at Zora's River and then planted them across Hyrule during his quest, which would be grown into leafy platforms in the adult era. Link also came up with a song for the scarecrow Bunuru, who stood at Lake Hylia's shores in the child era. Back in the adult era, Link played the scarecrow song for Bunuru again, offered him the service of the scarecrow Pierre. Link played the song in certain spots in the adult era, Pierre would appear and act as a target for the hookshot. All this time travel eventually solidified Link as the hero of time as well. In the adult era, Link received the pocket egg from the Cuckoo Lady, a small type of cuckoo she had bred. He borrowed it and held onto it until it had hatched into a pocket cuckoo, which Link exchanged for the blue cuckoo Kojiro. Link took him to the Cuckoo Lady's brother, who had secluded himself to the Lost Woods. The brother gave Link an old mushroom for his mother, the proprietor of Kakariko's original potion shop, to turn into the old Pultis. He intended to bring it back to the young man in the woods, but he had turned into a Stalfos by the time Link came back. Instead, the Kokiri Fado demanded the Pultis as it had been made from a mushroom of the woods. In exchange, he gave Link a saw that the young man had left behind. It belonged to his father, the master craftsman, who had been trapped in Gerudo Valley due to the Gerudo destroying the bridge there. Link gave it to the man, who gave him a broken sword made by the Goron smith Big Goron in return. Big Goron, who lived near the peak of Death Mountain, was willing to repair it, but had irritated eyes due to an eruption from the mountain. He gave Link a prescription and asked him to visit King Sora for eye drops. The king did not have those, but he did have an eyeball frog that had been used for centuries to make the drops. Link thus delivered the frog to the scientist at Lake Hylia, who made the frog into fine eye drops. He brought those to Big Goron, who started work on a new sword, and gave it to Link after 3 days. Link then finally went into the Shadow Temple and defeated Bongo Bongo, allowing Impa to awaken as the Sage of Shadow. Final Sage lurked in Ganondorf's homeland, so Link crossed Gerudo Valley and infiltrated Gerudo's fortress. He helped 4 carpenters who had been captured by the Gerudo escape by finding their cells and defeating 4 Gerudo guards. He defeated the final one. The Gerudo in charge of the fortress granted him honorary membership of the tribe. This allowed Link to proceed further into the desert, where he braved the trials of the Haunted Wasteland with the help of the Lens of Truth. It allowed him to follow a Poe all the way to the Desert Colossus and the Spirit Temple. He could not proceed far in the temple and was taught the Requiem of Spirit by Sheik. This allowed him to access the Spirit Temple in the Child era, where he met Nabooru, the second in command of the Gerudo. She asked him to get the silver gauntlets for her so she could use them against Ganondorf, and Link obliged. However, when he found them, Hum and Kotake captured Nabooru and turned her into an iron knuckle. Link then returned to the adult era and completed the rest of the Spirit Temple, defeated Nabooru and then Twin Rova. This allowed Nabooru to awaken as the Sage of Spirits. During all this questing, Link obtained all kinds of equipment and helped out the people of Hyrule in general as well. He would eventually also find all gold Skulltulas and help break the curse on the rich family of Kakariko Village. When Nabooru awoke, Rauru also told Link to return to the Temple of Time. There, he met Sheik a final time, who explained Ganondorf did not have the full Triforce. He also revealed that Link had the Triforce of Courage and he the Triforce of Wisdom, and he was in actuality Princess Zelda. Ganondorf used that opportunity to capture Zelda and lure Link to his castle. The remaining 6 sages created a bridge to the castle, and Link destroyed 6 barriers connected to the sages inside it. Then climbed its central tower, defeating powerful demons along the way, and faced Ganondorf. The Demon King intended to seize the full Triforce, but was defeated by Link. That freed Zelda, but with the last of his power, he caused the castle to collapse. Link and Zelda rushed down to ground level, after which Ganondorf emerged from the rubble and used the Triforce of Power to transform into the demon beast Ganon. He also knocked the Master Sword outside a ring of fire, forcing Link to buy time by damaging Ganon in other ways. Eventually, Ganon was stunned and the fire subsided, allowing Link to reclaim the Master Sword. He used it to weaken Ganon once more, for which Zelda used her powers to subdue him, which allowed Link to deal a final blow. The 6 sages then used their power to seal the Demon King, who had turned back into Ganondorf, and the Tribes of Power in the Sacred Realm, restoring peace to the land. In the aftermath of Ganondorf's sealing, Zelda intended to make up for her mistakes as a child that had allowed Ganondorf to enter the Sacred Realm. She used the Ocarina of Time to send Link back to the Child era. In the Adult era, the elements that had made Link a hero, the Triforce of Courage and the Master Sword, remained behind. It seems that at this point, the Triforce of Courage shattered into several pieces, which were eventually hidden across the land. Epona was left to wander Hyrule Field, while all peoples of the region, including the Gerudo, celebrated the return of peace at London Ranch. This included the Kokiri, who were able to do this due to the expanding influence of the Deku Sprout. Those who had become sages did not return properly to Hyrule, however, watched over it from a distance, leaving some of their close ones, like Mido and King Zora, to mourn. In the Child era, Link was sent to the point in time before he and Zelda had even met for the first time. Zelda from the Adult era had tasked Link with returning the Master Sword to its pedestal and closing the Door of Time. Link did this, which severed the road of time that had existed between the Child and Adult eras, which caused time to split. 2 different histories of Hyrule extend from this period in the timeline onwards. One where Ganondorf ruled the land for 7 years, often called the Adult Timeline, and one where the land was given a new chance and most of Ocarina of Time did not happen, often called the Child Timeline. Link also retained the Tribes of Courage in this history, inherited from the future that never was. This likely caused the whole Triforce, which still rested in the Sacred Realm in the Child era, to split in 3, the other pieces going to the royal family in Ganondorf, because they were chosen by the gods, though Ganondorf would be unaware of this for some time. Nonetheless, it would define much of the Child Timeline's history going forward. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.